The most sacred, pure, and powerful way of activism is by living your essence and sharing that with the world. Because imagine if all of us would share from a place of being connected with our core the skills that we have trained the most, integrating all the experiences that we've been gathering throughout our lives with the world, with an intention to contributing to a more beautiful world. This can only make a huge impact. I thought that you're only political or an activist or only contributing to a better world in this context if you're either a politician or if you go to the streets for a demonstration against or for something. Welcome to today's Stream of Consciousness episode. This time on the topic of sacred activism, living your essence while creating change in the world. For me, this topic is extremely important in these times. There's so much happening on a political level, societal level, economical level, and environmental level. And I feel for myself that I really want to contribute to a transformation towards a world that has more connectedness with one another, where there's more openness, more curiosity, and where I feel has more nourishing soil for all of us. In a literal and metaphorical way, of course. So that's why I decided to create and record this episode. Again, as in all other Stream of Consciousness episodes, there's no script that I prepared, with the intention to let you into my world in the most authentic way and to express what is alive for me, with intention to inspire you to follow your own aliveness, speak your own truth, express your own authenticity, and to live your essence. Okay, so let's get started. Living your essence and creating change in the world. These times, to me, seem intense. Intense, confusing, overwhelming. I'm in touch with a lot of fear and sadness. Fear about a future that might come, which won't be beneficial neither for humanity nor for the planet. Sadness about how I see people interact with one another. I see people, for example, when I watch the news, what I do, sometimes, not very often, but sometimes I watch like the news on the main news channel. And then I observe how people communicate with one another. And it hurts me so much because if I try to imagine what the outcome can be of people meeting in such a way, the outcome will most likely be one of suffering. Because if the process feels like one against the other, how can the outcome be something that feels that it's connecting all of us? So I'm connected with a lot of sadness and pain in this sense as well. And I long for a world where we feel that all of us can be ourselves, when we can live our essence, when we can express ourselves authentically and openly without fear of being judged or being punished or hurt, locked away even. I want a world in which creativity can flow, in which all emotions have their space and all of us are able and skilled to move with them in a way that feels nourishing rather than harmful. So I have a deep longing to contribute to this kind of world. And every now and then I ask myself, should I be more political? Should I be more of an activist? And I've been exploring this topic, and that's why I wanted to create this episode and share with you also my thought process around that. And I realized that when starting this thought process, which started many years ago, I come to see for myself that I had a very narrow definition of what it meant to be, quote unquote, political or an activist. I thought maybe unconsciously even, this popped into my mind that you're only political or an activist or only contributing to a better world in this context if you're either a politician or if you go to the streets for a demonstration against or for something. And I believe these are super valid things to do, involving yourself actively in politics or going onto the streets and sharing your voice because your voice matters. And it's not just one other voice saying something. Your voice makes the difference. And I totally believe that. So both of these ways I see very valuable. And at the same time, I feel like I want to contribute in a way that I use the maximum of my skill set to contribute and my experience to contribute to a positive change in the world. And of course, positive is also up to a lot of definition. For me, is what I already explained about how we humans can meet one another and ourselves and nature. And that we don't feel that's one against the other, but we feel that we're connected with one another. And not in a super esoteric way, but just it can be very simple. If I exploit the planet and pollute waters, then I will drink polluted water. Simple as that. Nothing esoteric about that. At the same time, I can connect on a very spiritual level with being connected with everything or more than just myself, other beings. Yeah, so I feel that's important. And I'm asking myself, how do I want to contribute? What is my way of contributing? And I feel that my way of contributing is, for example, doing this, what I'm doing right now with you, sharing my thoughts, my experience in a way that comes on my side with the hope that it inspires you to take action, to be more connected with yourself. So I believe that if I can make a contribution that supports humanity and become a little bit more connected with themselves, that supports humanity in gaining the skills not to move out of triggered states of fight or flight, for example, freeze, but to come back into balance and then to be able to act from a place of connectedness to oneself and to connectedness to your values. I believe that if I can share with the world, for example, a little bit more about nonviolent communication, that's why I wrote this children's book, Lara and the Wish Being, about nonviolent communication, with the world, that the world can become a little bit more skillful in dealing with conflicts. So this is my form of activism. This is my form of sacred activism. And at the same time, it's living my essence, what I believe at least. So I do believe that actually the most sacred, pure, and powerful way of activism is by living your essence and sharing that with the world. Because imagine if all of us would share from a place of being connected with our core the skills that we have trained the most, integrating all the experiences that we've been gathering throughout our lives with the world, with an intention to contributing to a more beautiful world. This can only make a huge impact. So this is activism for me. And I just really invite you as well to find your form of activism and your definition of activism. Does activism mean that you need to glue yourself to the street? Maybe it's one form, but probably there are also many other forms. And I invite you to find your form of being active. Because for me, activism is acting. And from a place of being connected with your values, with your truth, speaking your truth clearly, and acting. And what I believe is important is that we get to combine these skills of self-awareness, introspection, development, which is more like looking inside and becoming aware and moving things inside ourselves, and then also acting. Because activism, for me, without any self-awareness or self-development, is just recreating what we already know. But if we become more aware, then activism gets a new direction. So there's this famous quote that you can't solve like the problems with, it's a little bit different, but you can't solve the problems with the tools you have today, something like that. So it's like developing new tools, but also developing a new mindset and seeing the world in a different way. It's very important in my perspective. So yeah, how is that for you? If you think about activism, if you think about politics, if you think about contributing to a world that you wish for yourselves, for your children, for all other people that will come after you and that share this time on this planet with you, what do you want? And how can you contribute with your skills and your experience to this world? And I believe that this will come down to living your essence, being completely yourself. So I hope this was inspiring for you. And I guess that this is a conversation which can go on for a long time. And I really hope that this sparks conversations that you can have with other people, friends, colleagues, strangers, just to see how you and we can make a beautiful impact and contribution to this world. I hope this was inspiring for you, and I'm really looking forward to connecting with you in the next episode of Essence.